Welcome to Deep Conversations Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Ryan Stewart, and today I am I'm excited. I'm international now. I'm in
Indeed.
I'm international. I'm interviewing my guy Ahmad, aka Polo Diallo, from Guinea.
From Guinea.
From Guinea, yeah,
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
you're a fashion artist, but I want to before we start, I want you to give the viewers just an overview of who you are and where you grew up.
Okay. Well, I was born out here in Guinea,
Mm-hmm.
moved to America when I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on the quest of a better life. Um, well, once I arrived, so at this point I spoke no English, right?
Okay.
So once I arrived, my priority is to learn the English language,
Mm-hmm.
right? So on the verge of doing that, I realized that there was another language that I needed to learn before the English language.
Mm.
So this is where my love for fashion actually begun. So there's a visual language that I needed to learn before the English language. I'll tell you this. So now it's interesting because when I was going to school, I was being ridiculed for how I dressed. The culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
We wasn't into the Nikes where I came from Guinea. We wasn't into the Nikes, the ups, the Pepe jeans, the academics. And I come from poor parents. So
Mm-hmm.
when I come to America, it's like they're just putting anything on me and sending me to school. So when I go to school, the kids are like, and this was a turning point. This is when I realized that the visual language is extremely important. So I had two cousins that was already in America.
Mm-hmm.
So they used to tell my parents on what to buy me. So my father bought me a pair of white ups one time, and they were the red and white ones. So I remember going to school, and when I was in school, it was a friend of mine. His name is DJ. We call him Pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I didn't speak English that well. So when I come into school, he points out my sneaker and he says, "Fresh." And I looks at him. I'm like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
He looks at me, and then this is somewhat universal. When he put the two thumbs up, he was like, and I seen it in his face. I'm like, oh, okay. And I told him, I said, thank you. He was like, yeah, bro, that's good. So that was the beginning of it all. And yeah, so that was pretty much a little bit of my backstory. And I grew up in River Park Towers in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for a little while, got into the streets. I did 2 bids
Mm-hmm.
and ended up getting deported. So now I'm back in my hometown.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said you did a couple stints of jail time. So I want to, for a lot of people, I want you to explain what the mental strain jail can have on somebody.
Oh man, yeah, that's a deep one, man.
Mm-hmm.
Super tough being in there, right? Super challenging. What it does is it just helps you tap into your emotions, right? It helps you build your emotional IQ, right? So, because you alone, it's pretty much you, your cell, and everybody else that's around you, right? There's no distractions, and some of us we go into solitary confinement. So when you're in solitary confinement, it's literally just you and your inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so this when everything starts to replay in your head, like everything you done did, everything you just going through it. And because while you're in the streets, we tend to move as fast as we can, and we don't really care where we're heading, right? So the mental, it's just I seen a lot of people with mental health in there that go through it and things of that nature. So mentally, you have to be strong. So for the kids that's in the streets now, man, that physical stuff, that's one part of it. But the mental part is that's a whole nother ball game, right? And I really don't wish that on anybody. But as of right now, like we could definitely like start to teach the youth and how to tap into certain feelings, like, because that's where I realized what anxiety was. Like I used to have the feeling, but I didn't know what it was exactly. So I learned this on my own, doing my time, right? Anxiety, depression. I'm getting all these feelings. So after a while, I was able to put it together. Like, oh, this is I'm anxious. This is anxiety. Or this is depression. So after a while, I was able to like overcome it. I mean, you can't totally overcome it, but I was able to be more intact and control it, for lack of better term, right? I was able to control it a little bit more. And yeah, it's tough though. It's definitely tough.
Then do you think, now you said you got deported, after back to Guinea. So do you think, like you said, to learn to kind of cope with your emotions, do you think that helped you when you came back over to Guinea, because you were, again, like you said, you was by yourself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I already went through the psychological training while I was in prison, right? So, I learned to be, impervious, right? To everything that came my way. And it was pretty much like God was preparing me for this, right? And yeah, he actually did. God actually prepared me for this. So now while I'm here, I'm probably one of the most optimistic person you can meet. Like people be like, yo, how? Like you, but I just try to look at the good side of it. And this is from the training, from being incarcerated. And I can say this too. You are who you with. I started training my thoughts and started thinking this way because of the people I started surrounding myself with, right? Because while you were in there, there's a bunch of negative as well. It's all over the place. So now you have to sit down and choose. Like, okay. So when I was able to detect everything, I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is definitely not. I failed terribly. I got all this time. That means I failed terribly. That means I need to reinvent myself. So that's what I did. I went the other way. So these are the fellas that's on the good side that was handing me books, right? About psychology, self-help books. So this is how I was able to train my mind. And now I'm actually just waiting for my moment, to be honest with you.
And that goes, that's a testament to, you being able to tap into your strength too, because a lot of people, like you said, when you're in there, some people, they can't handle it. And you may see they may go over the deep end, and
no question.
Those people who don't tap into those emotions, because I've known, I grew up in the hood, so many of people, of the friends that I used to hang with, it was like I've seen them come and go, and even sometimes when they do come home, the mentality it wore on them, and they can't adjust. And I remember I had one friend tell me, and I thought this was probably one of the deepest things. He said to me, I'm more comfortable in there than out here.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, and I said, what you mean? And he was like, it's a place I can lay my head, and I know I'm going to get 3 meals a day. So, stuff, things like that. Like I said, that's a testament, because while you were in there, you tapped into your creative side. And you started having friends of yours bring you pieces of clothing so you could work on your stuff. Yeah, talk about that, man, because I think this is interesting to me.
Indeed, definitely. Okay, so this is, before I even get into that, right? Just to tap into a little bit what your friend said, which is super deep, right? I always noticed, and I always said this to my peers, and right, because everybody was pretty much living so much in the future that they forgot about the present, right? And then you have those that still in the past, they live in there, right? So what happens is, this one of the most conversations that you might hear in prison. I can't wait till I get home. I can't wait till I get home, right? So here you are living in the future. All right, you're gonna come home the first day, everybody's gonna turn up, right? Everybody's gonna have fun. The second day, everybody's gonna turn up again. Oh, such and such home, you heard? A week later? Hey, boy, you gotta get up off the couch. You gotta go get a job.
And it's just you again.
And it's just you again, right? So now what happens is in the present, you forgot to live in the present, and you weren't able to grab everything you needed to acquire at the moment,
Yep.
right? Which would have made you better. So when you did come home, once that week was over, you was armed. The week is done, cool, but I'm still armed. I gotta get up, I gotta go, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, right? At the end of the day. So just going in, so now going into the fashions and the shirts and things of that nature. So that's what I did. I just, took advantage of the moment, and I had the thought, and I was like, I want to make a shirt. And I actually did it, man. I actually did it. And it was from the help of my cousin. He's from Philly, right? His name is Abdullah. Shout out to him too, by the way. Shout out to you, Abdullah. And he used to come up to the visit, right? And so this is how I was able to check the texture. He was already into the fashion. He was already making clothes. He was doing the screen printing and things of that nature. So he was the first person I called. So he used to come to the visit floor, and that's actually how the process started, right? I sent them the font. So I collaborated with somebody in there. We was able to combine our talents while I was in there. So he was able to draw everything out for me. We did everything from scratch. So I was able to send that T-shirt home. I sent that T-shirt home. My cousin got it in Philly, and he was able to duplicate it, right? So when he duplicated the T-shirts, so at this point, shout out to my sister too, right? And I want to shout out to Shauna, man, sister. She definitely helped out with the distribution of the shirts and things of that nature. And if it wasn't for that team, man, it wasn't for her, it wasn't for my little sister Khadija, it wasn't for them, it would have never happened at the end of the day. So I learned early on that a team is extremely important. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. And shout out to a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, because they was all helping me distribute the shirts, and I was actually able to make money off of it, right? And once this happened, I was like, oh man, it's up. It's off to the races, right? I'm sitting here behind bars, right? And I'm collecting bread from something I've created from my mind, right? So all it is a free such and such concept, right? Because when I was coming up, everybody had free whoever was locked up, right? I know the probably was doing that on your side too. Free mic, for instance. So I took that concept and I was like, okay, how can I put this through a streetwear lens, right? Where you can actually rock it, right? So what made me feel good about the shirt was that I used to call home and people used to ask me about a shirt and be like, Polo, I need a shirt. Like my birthday's coming up. I want to put that on for my birthday. And that actually made me feel real special. Like I felt successful at that moment, right? And I was like, oh man, it's up. It's up. That's when I realized that this is what I wanted to do.
And then
I want to do it.
And I read too in your bio that you all you read was magazines. So you was kind of studying I guess you was studying the attire in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so that started earlier on at my time, just when I was in Rikers Island. While I was in there, I never used to read. Ever. So while I was incarcerated, while I was in there, it just felt so natural reading GQ magazines, the Esquire magazines, Harper's Bazaars. It was just supernatural, right? I remember when I used to get a new magazine, I couldn't wait to go in my cell and read it. I just couldn't wait. It was a clean high, no side effect, right? At the end of the day. So I'm like, this is awesome. Then I start to realize, I'm like, why am I because I'm not just looking at the attire, the garments, but I'm actually reading and I'm actually studying the business side of it at the same time, right? I'm figuring out the difference from fashion houses, the creative directors, to, new trends and how this is all coming about and things of that nature. So I was studying the back end of it. And that's why they say reading gives you a whole bunch of information. So that's how that started, right? Because I should dress when I was home, but I'm from the Bronx. Everybody dresses,
Yeah.
right? New York, everybody
Yeah.
put that on at the
Yeah.
end of the day. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm in prison. I'm like, that's regular. But at the same time, I'm like, hold on, wait. I have all this time. I need to lock in with something. So that's what I chose. I chose to lock in with the fashion.
And it's I started smiling when you were saying you never used to read before, because I was the same way when I was in school. I
Yeah.
never read. Like I just, to me, it was like, for me, I'm like, I'd rather see the visual. You know what I mean? Like if it was something, I'd rather see the visual in a movie or
Indeed.
something like that. So
Indeed.
once I got out of high school, it's weird. Like you really start to find out, and the Bible talks about this. You really start to find out about you when you get into your quiet place, because like you said, that's when it's unfortunate in prison, because you're forced to like hear those stuff. But sometimes that's a good thing. You know what I mean? But also too, sometimes it's in America, it's especially, New York is one of the fastest cities in America. So it's like you really can't stop and slow down to just. Sometimes you're moving too fast to even try to catch up to anything.
To catch up to anything.
Yep.
Indeed, bro. Indeed. That's interesting.
So how would you describe your fashion style?
A fashion style? I describe it as cultural, effortless, and elegant.
And
I like the mix.
I'm gonna throw one more in there. Clean.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw that one in there. But
Clean. No question. Clean. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Absolutely.
Now I seen that your nickname is Polo. How did you get how did you get that name?
I mean, it's been it's been Ralph Lauren since 12, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I got the money though. But it's definitely been it's definitely been Ralph Lauren since 12, man. Since 12, 13 years old, man.
Man.
Yeah. I just fell in love with it. And in respect to every nickname, you gotta earn it. So somebody actually gave me the name. And I was swaggy enough to get away with it, man. So if I am, so the name still sticks. People still call me Paul. I mean, I don't wear Ralph Lauren anymore. I feel like I graduated from Ralph Lauren, but there are some pieces that I still might put on, right?
Yeah.
And, look at all the graduates from Ralph Lauren, right? Kanye is one of them, yeah, so definitely.
Now, from matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you before I ask you this question. What would you say is your favorite piece of clothing that you made? I know they're all like you love all of them because you made them. You know what I mean? But what's the one that kind of stands out to you that you would say like that's my joint right there?
Some trousers I made, right? Some trousers I made. I'm looking forward to making a top to it now. But it's a fabric that I've seen like my whole life, and it's called lippy. That's what we call it in my language, right? And it's a white black stripe. And so what I did was, because I'm somewhat following the trend too, I'm using the African fabrics, and I'm using the shapes that's in style at this moment, right? And so that's actually what I did. I did with the pants, and I think those was like my second. That was my second piece that I actually made myself. So that's why they feel special. And whenever I throw them on, I feel great.
Yeah, they're comfortable, right? Yeah. It's something too. It's something too. It's when you start making your own clothes, it's hard to wear anybody else's. It's like
Oh yeah, it's a different ball game now.
Yeah, it's like I'm not wearing nobody else's, man.
Oh yeah, it's different. Oh yeah, y'all done had enough of my money.
That's what. And it's almost, it's crazy you said that. It's almost subconsciously that's really the thought process. I've spent too much money on all y'all. I'm wearing mine, man.
I'm wearing mine, and it's up.
Yeah,
it's time for you to start copping mine now. I want Alexander Wang, especially, to come spend some money this way.
Yeah,
I'm not playing.
You know what? Eventually, that's gonna happen, because
no question.
We talked off camera, and I think it was really no pun intended, but it was a deep conversation. You know what I mean? But
No question.
we were talking about how you were saying the African Americans here in America, how much they've been brainwashed with, you know, a lot. I mean, just media first. I mean, we talk about media first. So
No
I I say that because when you know you've been in Guinea for a while now. So what's the difference culturally, I guess, through communication from Guinea to, you know, from America? What's that difference there?
culture, the communication. Well, you know, just first of all, I regard myself as being culturally compatible with African Americans as well
Mm-hmm.
as the Africans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, you know, and Malcolm X actually talks about this too. He spoke about this years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he was actually trying to put people on, especially the African Americans, about Africa, right? Like, this is legit the future. This is our
Mm-hmm.
place, right? So now, and we've been going through it for centuries, right? African Americans in America, centuries. So now, if we was to come together and bring it back here and be the base here in Africa, then anybody else in the world will respect us, right? They respect the African Americans. They put more respect on it. So the way I'm doing it and what I'm trying to communicate to the African Americans now is that, you know, we just trying to build that bridge between here and over there,
Yes.
right? Because now is a difference. Now it's not just any African speaking to you and telling you, oh, come to Africa, is the future, is beautiful out there, right? It's a
You
difference.
see
Now
it.
it's coming from Polo. Now
Yeah.
it's like, hold on, we slept together, we ate together, we done put in work together, we done did everything together. So now it's like, yo, oh, now I'm coming to see Polo. Like, he's doing great. Look at him. So there's not a random African. So now I feel like I have the leverage. I have a small amount of power to get the brothers out here, right? Because now what it is you guys over there, you have the education, and you also have you can make things a lot lucrative over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what I could do is, because we have the information that you guys need, right? So in that respect, we come together and we can make it happen right
And
here
just and build together. See, that's what
and
again,
build together.
that's what we were talking about off camera too, because I'm like,
Right.
this is what my platform is to, like I said, I want to see all of us win. I mean, there's no jealousy and hate when it comes to my people.
Indeed.
And that's not excluding nobody else. You know what I mean? But
Indeed.
you have to start with the love for your own. You know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely.
so, you know, it's that's my thing. I want to bridge the gap through anywhere, Jamaica, Haiti, all of them. You know what I mean?
all of them, everybody.
Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, because they're us too. You know.
Indeed. And this is our duty, right? This is the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we got to come to. We have to educate them first, right? Education about the history, about the people like the Puerto Ricans. You're African, like Dominican, you're African as well. Panamanian, you're definitely African,
Yes.
right? So going through the history, and it's like, let's come over here because we need the brains. We need those excellent, you know, the smart brains that's over there, right? Mm-hmm. We need some of that over here because what's happening over here is, right, all the Africans, they've been brainwashed over here too. Because they feel like the glamour, they just gotta go, the bright lights, the city, things of that nature. So all of them is just like, I gotta get up and go. This is the only way I'll be successful, which is wrong. This is how they think, because they've been brainwashed that way. So now here I am, listen, I experienced that already. And I'm telling you, listen, you really don't have to, you know what, all right, let me call my African-American brothers. We're gonna come over here and we're gonna show y'all that y'all tripping. Y'all don't really need to take a trip over there, right?
Because if you go over there, they're gonna tell you they want to come over here. They so it's see, my brother, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. My brother, he married a Haitian girl, right? She just got her papers a couple years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But they've been together maybe 16, 17 years, right? So she was telling us, you know, we were all sitting at the house. She was telling us, she said, it's weird, you know, what me and you were just talking about. She said the idea from the media, whatever you may see, the bright lights and all of that stuff. She said, when I got over here, you know, you were over here and we just we all have a natural instinct to just work hard. It comes from ancestors. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And she says, but when we went to get our papers, she said they had us in an auditorium, you know, like a kind of like a graduation kind of thing, right? But she's like, I went to get we went to get our papers, but they started before we left. They had a big screen up there, and they were trying to, they were just had a video of explaining what America was and how America worked. And she said there was a part in the
video
in the video where they say to stay away from these hoodlums, stay away from the drug dealers, stay away from these kind of people. She said, but it was black folk. And she said, a lot of people, she said, but that's why you see foreigners from India. That's why you see foreigners from Pakistan or Saudi, wherever, or any kind of part, Chinese people. She said they always look at black people some kind of way. She said it's because when they got their papers, they seen that video.
Exactly. That's my point. That's exactly my point. And that's, just to piggyback off of what you're saying a little bit. That's all it is. And then remember, so what happened was, so it's still divide and conquer, right, in a way, because now the Africans come to America, right? So now, because it all makes sense when you think about it. The Africans come to America. I remember as a kid, my father watching Bronx 12, CNN, things of that nature, which is all negative. So the painting that they had of an African American was, they rob people, they kill people for jackets, doing this and that nature. So now, naturally, my father, he disliked African Americans, naturally, because this is the media, right? So what he used to tell me was, don't be in the streets, stay away from the African American. I'm like, what? And at the same time, for the African Americans on the media, what they watch is what? On TV, guess what's on TV? About Africa is Feed the Children.
Yep.
Right? So Feed the Children is on TV. This is all they're showing. So now the African Americans getting brainwashed as well as the Africans. So now they're both like looking at each other like the African American looking at the African like he an animal, right? Like he's from the jungle, and now the African is looking at the African American like he's from the concrete jungle. Like, we both need to stay away from each other. And this was the conflict for all these years, right? And it took a long time for it to actually slow down now. But it's all the media. Just going back to what she said and showing her that video, that was
and crazy. Just what you just said, it's everybody knows the power that we have except for us. I'm just, it always makes me feel, as soon as before, when we jumped on here, the first thing we did when we seen each other, we just started smiling. It was like I don't know what it is. It was just, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
that's how it's supposed to be. When I see my people, I'm always smiling. And sometimes here they be looking like, what you looking at? Like it's like a mean mug kind of thing, and it's like in my head, I'm like, it shouldn't be like this, man. It
should not be like this. It's all love.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's all love. I want to see you do great, and at the same time, let's educate our people. Let's get the youth on board, right? Because again, remember we were there, so they're moving so fast. It's like, but we have to come together though, as the elders. We got to be a better example. We got to be role models. We got to be positive role models, man. So, we got to come on this, like what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing too, man. A podcast, like just giving us a platform, to come out here and, give, just tell our stories and things of that nature. So that's just great, man. That's pretty awesome, bro.
I appreciate that, man. What would you say motivates you, keeps you motivated?
Family. My family keeps me motivated, man. My family keeps me motivated. I do come from a poor family, man. And at this point in my life, man, like I'm big on education, right? So, and at the same time, I know how impactful actions are, right? We always hear it's a cliche, action speaks louder than words, right? At the end of the day. So that's what actually keeps me motivated. I don't want to come around and tell you this and that and this, because you have your own beliefs, you had your own walk of life at the end of the day. So now, when I come through and I'm stepping and you see me progressing every time, it's like I'm gonna build enough credibility to a point now when I say, yeah, this is this, automatically you're gonna be like, okay, let's get to it. But especially coming from prison and being deported over here, I gotta be real careful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because telling someone to do the right thing is like, what? What do you mean?
No.
You just did 10 years and you came home deported. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So they're not trying to hear anything that I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what actually motivates me even more too, because of my history, right? Like, I'm not here to talk straight action. No.
Yeah, and that's what you just said too. When you say, when you was like, I gotta be, people be like, what you mean? You just did some time. But it's almost, you look at it like this. If somebody has never been to, let's just say, the Bahamas, I've been there. You know what I mean? Not
Okay.
me, but not me, but I'm saying, you know, somebody been to the Bahamas. If they come back and somebody's like, I wonder, what's that like? I can tell you what that's like because I've been over there.
Indeed.
Same thing with you with prison. I can tell you what that's like.
I
I've
can
been
tell
over
you
there. You do not want to go over there.
not want to go over there.
Nah,
Trust me.
man. Mm-mm.
Yeah, a lot don't make it back. A lot
See?
don't make it back. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to go over there. You do not. So this is where you got to showcase your toughness for real.
Mm. And most of them, they're not that.
Exactly my point.
They're not. Yeah,
Exactly.
they're not that.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly my point.
I want to ask you because we was talking about the kids. This the next generation. And these are the ones that's got to move things forward. So, what advice would you give immigrant children looking to fit in once they come to the inner city communities?
Well, first and foremost, I would tell them to slow down. Try their best to slow down, man. Slow down, and at the same time, always ask your parents or check your legal status.
Hmm.
Always. Don't just leave it all up to your parents, because they might have a lot on their plate that you can't even imagine, right? So
Hmm.
they might delay, they might do this. So always ask, always be on point, and at the same token, don't forget about your respective countries,
Hmm.
because this is actually the future, right? We need you to come back. We need you to invest, right? Because this is where it's at, right?
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, and always be mindful. Always be mindful when you're with, because you are who you're with at the end of the day. Just try to do the right thing, man. Try to do
Hmm.
the right thing.
Now I got two more questions for you.
Okay.
This question, what are some goals that you have for yourself for I guess we could say for this year and then the next let's go 5 years.
Next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Okay. Well, in 5 years, where I see myself, I actually see myself competing with like the Demna Gusalias. I see myself competing with the Hedy Slamans, right? The John Elliott's, right? Demna, he's the creative director for Balenciaga right now,
Wow.
right? Hedy Slaman, he's creative director for Celine at the moment, right? So I want to be competing with these big fashion houses at the end of the day. I want to start creating fashion houses here in Africa at the end of the day, right? Because it's not just about Europeans. This is what we're doing. So this is the work that we got to do. And so in about 5 years, that's where I see myself, man. I see myself in that mix and just doing a little bit of that. Yeah.
And I think it's I want you to know, I always ask people certain questions because there's a power in words, you know what I mean? And when you speak
Oh,
those certain things,
oh,
it's it's like in your brain, it's like you wrote it down on paper. So, and your brain is like a computer, so
indeed.
nothing never deletes. It's going to
Indeed.
train. It's going to get back up to the front, and it's always going to keep you remember. So,
It's
at
always gonna
five
keep
years, we definitely going to stay connected. So,
for sure.
yeah.
For
So
sure.
in that 5 years,
For sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing you
Yeah.
not only competing but being making them nervous. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Making them
Yeah,
nervous. That's
yeah.
where we at with it. that's where we at with it, man. That's definitely where we at with it.
Now I'm gonna
for
ask
sure.
you. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
Everything that you've been through in your life up until this point, what if you learned mentally and spiritually about yourself?
That I'm consistent.
Hmm.
I'm consistent. What I learned about myself is that no matter what I'm into, I'm fully into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that don't sound too cocky or whatever, or anything like that. But it goes to say, like, when I was on the negative side, when I was in the streets and things of that nature, I went full force with it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's when I realized, like, hold on, wait. This is who I am. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? At the end of the day. So I realized, okay, this is how God created me. So now I have to do everything in my power to try to make this thing positive, or just make my focus into something that's positive, so this way I will be able to help my people, because I know I'm gonna go full force with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that, I learned that over the years, man. I learned that over the years. And prison just helped me be a little bit more aware and more patient too, as well.
Mm.
Helped me with patience, for sure, for sure.
That's and it's most of my podcasts, I ask that question, if not all of them. I ask that question because I think it gives a a real look into this person. You know what I mean? And it's and what
Yeah.
I've found is everybody that I've interviewed, who they've all been of color, and it's like you said, they have their own walk, but it's all centered back to one thing of just, I mean, everything comes from love. You know what I mean? Even
Everything.
and even we can kind of get kind of deep and say, even on the negative side,
Even on the negative.
It's I may be lost over here, but I love this though. So like you said, I'm gonna go full force with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's and I think I can kind of say, because I know now that I'm older and I've been reading and I've been researching and studying my culture, the system really has something to do with our culture over here in America. You know what I mean? It's so the mental part is like, when I say it comes out of love, it's bad, and we're not glorifying none of this, but
100%.
somebody may rob somebody because I got love for these kids. They hungry. I gotta rob this bank because my love for them, I can't go no more from seeing them not eat. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna deal with this jail time or whatever I got to do because it's for them. And that's and mentally, it's that's what you're thinking, but you know, other people gonna see it some other kind of way. I can't believe he came in that bank with the gun and all this kind of stuff. You don't know what I'm going through. Y'all not coming to help.
They're not coming to help.
Y'all not coming, and y'all see, because
what I'm going
on the media, you done taught people that we animals.
Indeed, 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 and I want to thank you for putting that in perspective, right? Because that's pretty much what it is, and I want to add this in, because throughout my time, like my journey when I was incarcerated, I used to beat myself in the ass. I just kicked myself in the ass for so many years, right? And I was able. I got my GED. I was able to get my GED in there, and I got the opportunity to get into college. That had college courses in it. So I went to John Jay. So when I was in there, I took what was the course? Sociology, right? And that helped me put a lot in perspective. Like, just going back to what you were saying, how the government, how they got something to do with the innocent, the things of that nature. So it just makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world. But once I took this course, it made me ease off of myself a little bit, because I realized that it's a two-way street, right? The streets and who you are, how you've been created. So I realized that your physical characteristics play a part on who you become in your area, right? Your personality is another one, right? So no matter what field you're in, right? So pretty much, there's a spot reserved for you already. It's there. It's reserved for you.
Yeah.
For your physical characteristics, your personality is already reserved. So this is why that's why it was so easy for me. I realized how easy it was for me to get to the pinnacle of evil. Because now it's like, oh, hold on, wait, it makes sense. It wasn't all me. It was the streets, how it was set up. And then I came into it, and then I went right into my pocket, right into my spot. Just like how everybody else is in their own individual spots. So this is the same concept that we could utilize, right? And put it into this word that we enter in now, the positive word, and the word of activism and things of that nature, right? It's a spot reserved there for us as well. We just got to put the pain in, have the work in. Of course, you got to put the work in. Because when I was in the streets, I had to put the work in too. But I went right into my pocket.
But you know what's crazy? How you just said that. And again, I like how you analyze that about getting in your pocket. Now that we're over here, first of all, there's peace here. That's the number one thing. It's so much peace. You know what I mean? And I can, and I can tell because just talking to you and just it's your spirit is like it's vibrant and it's like you is such a peace that you can't. It's showing through your smile. Like you can't stop smiling, that's what everybody needs to be doing. You know what I'm saying? But
that's what everybody needs to be doing.
Yeah. Indeed. But like you said, that negative pocket that you were in, all the grind and stuff that you had to do with that over here now, having to grind, this is easy now. Because I've done this kind of stuff. And I know it's not going to go back to this. So this one over here, it's like this over here, this ain't nothing but some joy here. I'm bringing all positive energy. And now
all positive energy.
And I can tell now if any kind of negative energy comes towards you, you're gonna be like, look, you gotta go the other way. We're not doing that.
You gotta go the other way.
No, we're not doing that.
Now, that gotta go and right. And I would add this because that's the advantage that we have over the people that doesn't know too much about evil, right? Because they can fall short. Now, when I see evil from deep, it's like it's evil. I'm going this way.
You can see it from a mile away. It's almost like now that you're in tune with yourself and your own spirit, you can almost smell it. It's like trash, like on trash day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah,
indeed,
that's funky over there, man. I'm out of here, man. Where can they reach you on social media, man?
Well, I'm on Instagram as of right now. That's the only platform I'm on. But the name is Ahmed _ bin BIN _ humble. AHMAD Ahmed _ BIN _ humble. So you can find me on there, Ahmed bin Humble.
Look, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciated this interview, man. This was for me. This was a blessing. Just again, like I said off camera, to be able to continue to just talk to my people, man, and it feels good every day to talk to my people, and we just have real conversations. This is beautiful for me. You know what I mean? I'm in my pocket, man.
Yes. Yes, you are, bro.
Yeah,
yes,
and I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna steal that slogan when I start making money. I'm gonna send you your half of that slogan.
Yo, listen, you're ready. Let's do it. So it's all love. With it, brother.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man.
Yo, I appreciate you too, man.
You're on YouTube, baby.